So I did want to welcome everyone to this graduate workshop. This is for citation management tools, and we're going to learn about two different tools today. We are learning about Zotero and Refworks, and we'll also kind of give you a little bit of an overview about what citation management is, why you should use it, and sort of how it fits within the ecosystem of graduate studies and large projects that you do during your graduate career. So that's kind of what we're looking at doing today. My name is Tammy Owens. I'm a librarian here. I'm the Outreach and Instruction librarian here, and I am a fine arts librarian, so that's my specialty within the library. And this is Heidi Blackburn. She also doesn't have the microphone right now, so we're going to be passing that back and forth. And Heidi is our business and STEM librarian, and so we keep her very busy doing that. That's one thing to remember just in general. If you have any questions about citation management, we do have contacts on the sheet. Heidi and I are definitely people that you can contact if you have questions, but you can also ask your subject specialists. And so we have specialists in every subject or in every department that you can take one-on-one meetings with. And we're happy to get to know you, and we definitely want to help you all along the way. So the first thing that I want to talk about really, before we even get into talking about our kind of two main citation management tools, is just like the idea of why you should be using a citation manager just in general. Citation managers really get to organizing all of your material. And of course, we're big on organizing here at the library, but what this is it begins to pull together everything that you have found about your various projects that you're doing in your graduate career. And they contain all of your citations. They can contain the PDFs too. So you can also take notes on those PDFs, all in the same place. And those things, both of these citation managers today, Refworks and Zotero, can be backed up in the cloud. So you have that two-step kind of a thing. Both of them also can be exported. You can export your entire library, put that on a hard drive. I've done that before. And so you know that it is safe and it's effective. And the other thing is, you do this, you pull in your citations as you're doing your research. So you're not stopping at any point to say, okay, well, I need to put this thing there, right? I need to grab this PDF and then I need to file it. What you're doing is just a one click, it's coming in, it's being placed aside for you, and you don't have to stop that flow of research. That is really, really important. And you're doing that directly from our databases. So you're being able to do that research, put in your keywords, find all of that, all of those citations, all of those sources, and get it out of the databases. So the other thing that I really like, and this is what I call the magic part of citation management, if you use both Refworks and Zotero, and actually most citation managers that I can think of, because there are many, many, many of them. If you have a favorite one, we can talk about that later. You can link it to Word, and usually it's Word, and you can cite while you are writing. So you can use, basically what you're doing is you're using your own catalog, your own group of citations, and then as you need to do a citation, you just click one click in Word, you do a search, and then it places it right there. It cites it correctly. As long as it's correct in your citation manager, it cites it correctly. It can change citations. So say you do something in MLA and all of a sudden you want to get that document over to Chicago style for a different, maybe for a journal. You can just change it with one click. And then what it does that's really, really great is that you press one thing, one little button, and tell it to create the bibliography. It looks at all of those linkages that you've made in your entire document. And think about this for a thesis or a dissertation. All of those citations, it says which ones have I used, and then it makes your bibliography automatically, which is like, usually people go, whoa, but it's really, really powerful. And it's something that you definitely do have to do double check for accuracy, but you're doing that anyway. So yeah, so these are all kind of my reasons for using a citation manager. And believe me, I've done this both ways. I have done it by hand. I've kept track in a piece of paper or in a Word document by itself. And in fact, I'm just now having to do an entire long project doing it by hand. And I definitely would rather do a citation management workflow. It would be much better. So that's why we're here. That's why we're doing this this whole thing. So I'm going to hand it over to Heidi. She is going to talk about how to use it. She's done several projects with different citation managers. Where are you? You're over here. And she's also going to get into our first citation manager, Refworks.
Okay, so as I attach this here, like Tammy said, we have both used these. I used them as a graduate student, and I found them so helpful that now I help others learn the joys of citation management. So Tammy talked a little bit about why you should use it, and I'm going to talk about how you should use it. It doesn't matter what style you pick. If you pick Zotero, great. If you pick Refworks, great. Like she said, there are also others, including EndNote, Mendeley, BibTeX. There are hundreds out there. What you want to do is find the one that works for you. So I always like to compare it to a phone. If you are an Apple phone user, you're like, yeah, Apple phone, this works for me, I understand how it works. If you're a Samsung person and you're like, yes, Samsung, get that shiny Apple product out of my face, then you found the one that works for you. Same with Refworks and Zotero. When I look at Zotero, it makes no sense to me. What is this all about? I don't understand. When I look at Refworks, it's shiny and clean, and it's a lot more like an Apple product, and that makes sense to me. So you want to make sure that your citation manager is working for you. It's not about work smarter, work harder, all that sort of thing. The citation manager should be doing all the work for you. Like Tammy said, it will automatically import so that you are not stopping the research process. And how you organize it is up to you. So just think about how you organize your folders, like on your desktop or in Google Drive. You might have classes. You might have folders within those classes of different assignments, required readings, suggested readings, things I should read but will probably never actually get back to. So depending on how you set that up, you can set up similar folders in your manager. It's all completely customizable. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to show you how easy it is through the whole research cycle to use Refworks, because that's the one that is my favorite. And I'll show you what it looks like if we were just doing some day-to-day research here within Refworks. So what I'm going to show you is that, first of all, if you look at the top of my screen, I already have the Refworks widget downloaded to my browser. You can do this so that you can find other resources out on Google Scholar. You can import websites. It is not only for library resources, so you can pull in things from anywhere. I highly recommend that you download this widget. It is for Chrome or Firefox. I haven't tried it on Internet Explorer, but it did work on both of those. So let's say that I'm just doing a little preliminary research. I'm just going to go right to Google, because that's where everybody starts, right? Okay. I'm going to look up post-traumatic stress disorder. I'm just doing a little preliminary research right here. Okay, so I'm looking through, and I'm going to look and see if there are any articles I might want to pull through. If I found one, then I can add it to my list. We'll look at this government document one right here. So maybe I wanted to pull in this government resource into my citation manager. I'm going to click Save to Refworks. It's looking for that information, and I can make a reference for myself right here automatically. So I don't have to pull all of that information in or type it in if it's already pulled in. But let's say I want to go to Google Scholar. Oops. A lot of people pull from Google Scholar. So let's say I try the same search again. I'm going to look for post-traumatic stress disorder. Okay, so here I am out in Google Scholar. I'm looking to see what's out there. Here's an interesting article from Springer. I'm going to look at this article. Okay, so here it is. First of all, we're going to make sure that we do not pay $139 to access this book. Criss Library definitely will buy a copy for you or get a copy for you through interlibrary loan. But I want to save it for my list later. I'm going to click on my widget again. It's going to analyze it, and it's going to pull through. It's by this author. Here's the title, the book that it came from, and all that information. So I can load that right into Refworks, and I'm going to sign in and show you what Refworks looks like. Now mine was already set up, just like I said, so I'm going to walk you through what it would be like. So I found something out on the internet. I saved it using my widget here on the side. Now when I'm in Refworks, it showed up in my folder, and I can move it to any folder I like. So in this case, I have my folders set up in a variety of ways. I'm working on several different projects right now. I have things for geology, I have a classroom management article that I'm working on, I have some other documents, and then I also have some class folders. So in my folders, I have many class folders. And I'll show you, this is how I set mine up as a graduate student when I was doing the PhD work. These are things that I'm working on right now. I can call them anything that I want, label that folder however I want. And then I can have subfolders. So for my PhD, I had PhD files. I had some by class. These were generally the recommended readings. These are things that I was going to post to Blackboard that my faculty member said I had to find. And then I also wrote an essay for that class. So I labeled it Diffusion Essay. So I put all the articles that I was gathering for that particular assignment into its own folder. Then I had folders for my qualifying exams. I had some other classes. So you can set up your folders however you want. It could be by theme. So maybe you're only planning to use this for a thesis or a dissertation. So you want different folders that are things like information science theories. It could be education theories. You're going to do it by theories, or it could be by author. You're going to put everything by this major player in his own folder. You're going to put everything my faculty advisor says I should read in its own folder. You can do folders however you want. The trick is to get the folder set up before you start doing your research, so it rolls right into the folder as you find things. So for example, I just uploaded this post-traumatic stress disorder article. I'm going to select it and move it to my classroom examples folder. There we go. So now it's moving to my classroom examples. Now, let's say I've collected all my research, and you're saying, well, you can never collect all the research. Okay, you got to the end of the semester and the paper is due. You need to stop collecting. Like, you just have to write the paper. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go out to Google Documents, and in Refworks, it connects to Google Documents. She talked about you can connect to Word, but I recommend Google Documents because it's on the cloud. You can always have access to it, so you can work on it here on campus or at home, wherever you happen to be. So in Refworks, there is a tool. So here's where I got my widget. I already had that installed so I could get things off the internet. And I can cite in Google Docs. I already have that add-on, so it should open right up. So if I go out to my Google Docs and I log myself in, let's pretend I'm writing my paper now. I'm going to put in my university address. Okay, so here's one that I had started this afternoon. I'm pretending to write this awesome paper, and I have the first sentence, which is awesome sentence here by this one guy. So I've already done a few citations. Let's pretend that I'm going to keep working on it. I've been inspired. I've done my reading. Second awesome sentence by an older one guy. Now, what Tammy was talking about is as I'm writing, I can start adding things because I have an add-on for Refworks. It's going to pop up here. This automatically syncs to everything in my Refworks. So I just typed this awesome sentence. I look for what I was looking for in my folder, classroom examples. And I'm going to say I just cited, we'll say this guy. And now my citation is immediately in there. Added it to my references list, which would hopefully be at the bottom of your paper because your paper will be longer than 2 sentences. And then it has added the author, comma, date because I'm writing this in APA for my class. So immediately I read it, it's here, it's cited, and I can keep working. Now, Tammy was also mentioning that you can change. So some of you may be lucky enough that you are going to submit your work to a conference, or you have a GRACA panel presentation that you need to give, or you are going to submit it to a journal later. You're going to turn the thesis into a book, something like that, hopefully. And you want to change. Well, you used to have to go through and do it all by hand. Tammy has done it. I have done it. It is a huge time commitment. I can change in Refworks my citation style. So my teacher said I had to write it in APA, but my journal is taking Chicago style. I update it, it thinks for a minute, and boom, there went all my citations, changed right back into Chicago, my bibliography changed, and my citations in the text changed. So it's a very, very handy feature that you can use within Google Documents. You all have Google Documents because you have Gmail accounts, so if you're not familiar with that, make sure that you are using that tool. Now, let's say that I went out and I was in our wonderful library website and I wanted to use some databases. So here I am, databases. I'm going to go to one of my favorites, which is Web of Science, because I'm the science librarian. So here I am, Web of Science. I'm out doing this awesome example. Post-traumatic stress disorder. Oops, did I spell it? It wants 2 words. Post-traumatic stress disorder. So it's searching, it's bringing up all these amazing results. And now I can import directly from this database as well. So almost all of our databases have a direct import feature already in the database. If it doesn't, remember I already have that widget downloaded, so there is one of 2 ways that I can get this back into my manager. In Web of Science, you can save your articles directly to Refworks from this drop-down menu. It's going to ask you what you want to save. I always say save the full record because that will give you your citation information, the author, and then generally any other information that they include. I'm going to say send this to Refworks. Sometimes Refworks will pop up like this, where it asks you if you want legacy Refworks or export to the new Refworks. We are all going to new blue. So remember that with me? New blue. The red legacy is being discontinued this spring. So all of our workshops and our graduate students, we are encouraging you to use new blue. Catchy, right? And then here in the middle it says, don't ask me this again. When you're on your own device, it won't ask you this every time because it's your own personal device and you have signed in. We're on a public computer, so it's asking me that. I'm going to say export to the new Refworks, and I might have to log in again because we are on a public computer. But again, on your computer, you'd already be logged in and it would recognize your login. Okay, so I'll show you guys that again because we did have to sign in. I picked the articles that I'm interested in. I said I want to save to Refworks. I'm going to send that to Refworks. Now it's importing, as you can see. It says imported 2 documents from my database list. I click OK. They show up over here. I imported them a few seconds ago. I moved them into my classroom examples. Now they're in my classroom examples folder or whatever folder you might be using. And if I go back to writing my document, third awesome sentence by a cool young gal. I'm going to say classroom examples. I'm going to refresh because we just imported those other 2. So here's the one that I just did. Cite this, grabs it and puts it right in there, and then it adds to my bibliography. So it is a full cycle of research. You want to have something that is seamless for you. Now again, Refworks works for me. I like the interface. I like how the folders are set up on the side. I can also share a folder. So that is one of the unique features of Refworks. If you have someone else in your study group, if you have another group for class, if you have a bunch of graduate assistants or another group of students, if you all have Refworks, you can share folders. So if you're all working together on a lab report, you're all working together on a group project, you can put all of your research in one place. And you can all edit a Google document together if you have it set up through Refworks. So some interesting perks of the Refworks program. It does not play well back and forth if one of you has Zotero and one of you has Refworks. Just like you can't charge an Apple phone with a Samsung cord, they don't play well together. So talking about Zotero, I'm now going to turn it over to Tammy because Zotero is her baby. And we'll learn all about Zotero.
So it is 6 o'clock, but I'm going to need about 15 minutes to go over Zotero. So we're going to have a little bit of a head-to-head right here. And I can tell you all about my favorite citation management tool. Zotero. You will find everything you need to know about Zotero at zotero.org. And that's where you can go to not only download the standalone, but get the linking tool that you'll need for Word, so you can link Zotero into Word. We've downloaded the standalone tool to this computer. What I can't show you is that linking thing. It works just the same for Zotero and Word as Refworks does with Google Docs, but you don't have that capability to work in a Google Doc using Zotero. So unfortunately, that's not on the table yet, but that doesn't mean that it won't be in the future, because this is something that is continually updated, and people make these kinds of things all the time. One thing I do want to show you from our homepage, actually from our library homepage, we do have under research and instruction here, we do have a research and citation guides page. So if you need these links anywhere, you can just go to that, and we have Zotero and Refworks, we have links to those. So you can find that there. Zotero.org is where you can go and get registered, and log in. Zotero is really great because it has this standalone thing that you can put on your machine, but it also has cloud storage. So it constantly syncs, and it stores it locally as well as up in the cloud. What you'll need to do is download this, what they call standalone. Just download that to your machine, and then you'll be ready to go. You'll have to make yourself a log in, make yourself, what is that called? An account. That's what it's called. It's late, you guys. I have already started on, I've opened up Zotero, and I have logged in to my own account. And I'm just making sure that I have all of my stuff here. 1 second. What I've also done is installed the extension as well. So you're going to download that program for Zotero, and then it will also prompt you to download the extension. In this case, it's Chrome, but it will kind of walk you through all of those steps. It just needs to know that you are intending to use Zotero somewhere along your research path. So it used to be, and if you speak to somebody who has been using it for a long, long time, it used to be that this was a program that primarily worked the best in Firefox. Now that Firefox is changing, they have developed it for any browser that you need. I will also show you some of the things that let me see if I can make it bigger. I really can't. So this is my library. What you're seeing right now is this is everything that I have done for the last 10 years. So that's how long I've been using this. I have been, what I did was kind of redo this, or reorganize it once I got out of grad school. So I sort of started putting folders away. My first degree was in art history, and so I also have the art history, so I have some topics. Some mythical painting, that's what I did my thesis on. Social art, I did a talk on that. So tea, that was just a one-off project that I did in grad school. So a lot of these other ones are about big topical ideas that I'm doing research on. What you can also see, so my library goes down until you see trash, okay? And then it starts with group libraries. Now, this is another way for you to be able to share your research with somebody else. And when you're on Zotero.org, you can see, you can basically put groups together. And that's where you can start a group library. You can actually start one from here as well, but you can invite people online using Zotero.org. And you can see here that I've got 2 group libraries that are showing, and if I go down a little bit, you'll see this is actually a really interesting one, because Reference 360 is the last and the current project that I'm working on with someone in Minnesota. And so we're sharing a library on Zotero. We're actually, and this is why we've had to do our citations by hand, because we're writing the book in Google Docs, the whole book. So this is where our library is. We didn't want to go to Refworks, and so we're doing all the citations by hand. But this is where they live. This is where our literature review lives. And you can see that it is chapter by chapter and topic by topic in there as well. Our introduction has all of those things in it, etc. So that's how we organize our brains, our thoughts. So let me go and show you how to import from databases. It knows that I'm logged in. In Zotero standalone, what you're doing to log in is actually to go to Preferences. And that's the first thing that you should do when you download Zotero. It's go to Preferences and tell it who you are. It'll ask you to log in, and you'll log in under Sync. So it's asking you what kind of syncing, if you just want to sync certain ones. It also, then the other important one is it'll ask you what your default format is. So this is where you choose what sort of citation you want it to make. Right now it's Chicago Manual of Style 16th, again, because that's what I was writing last. So when you have to write something else, say it's MLA or something like that, you would just choose another format from here. And the great thing about this is that there are just so many citation styles that they have here, primarily because the users drive the development of this product. So if somebody doesn't see one, then you can actually create one yourself and upload it. When I was in grad school, I had to do an annotated bibliography. And so what I said was, I'm going to put my annotations in the notes. And you could see here, I don't know if that is on there, but I basically made a new style, said output it with the citation and the notes underneath it. And I was able to do that, and then that's what happened. So it wrote itself right there, so that was great. All right. And so yeah, so here's where you get additional styles, so easy. And then word processors, you can reinstall, this is where you can go to install those word processors. And it links up with a couple of different kinds. What's in advanced? I can't remember. Okay, that's good. All right, so what I'm going to do is make sure that it's going somewhere. And that's the same sort of thing. So once you kind of get used to one of these citation management programs, you should be able to, if you want to try out more of them, I would say go ahead and do that, just so you kind of know that you're comfortable in a couple of different ones and that you've chosen the best one for yourself. So it's the same sort of thing as Refworks. Definitely, oh, that's not where I want to put it. I'm just going to go ahead and put it in my library. If you select a folder before you go ahead and start bringing things in, then it's going to go directly into that folder. So that's the case. So I will quickly, let's see here. I'll go to education source because I've been doing a lot of research in education. And because this is, what I wanted to do was do a couple of really common databases or common database companies. So you may see this one, this is an EBSCO product, so you'll see many of our databases that look just like this and they'll act like this. So the interesting thing is that it detected that you're accessing this through a proxy, which is like through basically the username and password you use to get into databases. And it said, do you want to keep on doing that? Well, you can say yes. And why you would want to say yes to that is because then the link that it saves is that link that includes your username and password. So it doesn't go to something where you would have to figure out how to get that document again. So, well, and sometimes it just is like that. So when you add in that link to the to Zotero on any browser, what you're going to see is, I don't know if you can see it from there, from the back of the room, and you probably won't be able to see it on our recording, but there's a little tiny, right now it looks like a little piece of paper right up there in the upper right-hand corner. That is Zotero Live. So, and I believe that is. So I'm going to search for mindfulness and education. Well, it's probably, I don't know how this is going to go here. So we got 720 results. I'm really not going to look through them. It doesn't really matter right now. But see how this upper right-hand corner, that turned to a folder. So it said, I have found things on this page which I can save for you. Normally, if it's that piece of paper, it has found like the website, basically. If it finds, it'll change to different icons depending on what it sees. So here, if I click on that, it select which items you would like to add to your library. If we had selected a particular folder, it would say saving to whatever folder. So it goes right in there. And then we go ahead and select, and we hit OK. And then it gives you, like, OK, we've done that. And it grabs as much as it possibly can. This one didn't have a PDF, so it didn't grab the PDF. The other ones, it did. So all of that, everything that it could grab, it grabbed. So you go back to Zotero, and see, it's just there's so much in here. Now I can't really even find out what we just did. So what I can do is do a search for the thing that we did. So we just pulled in this document right here. And it has pulled in every last thing that it can. It's pulled in the abstract, all the authors, all the titles, everything that it can find, the DOI included. So, so it has all of that information. What you can do from here, and so that's kind of the top level of how you work with this using that download, that linker thing. The same goes for using Word. If you're in Word, you're typing along, and it literally is a one button, just like it was in Google Docs. So exactly the same sort of thing goes. What I would say is, since we can't have you download it on our laptops or anything like that, that wouldn't really be fruitful for you to do that. It would be best for you to download this stuff on your own laptop. Once you have it on your laptop, once you've practiced with it, email us or set up an appointment with one of us, go one-on-one, and we'll kind of take a shot at going through it together with you so you know how to use it. So the other thing that's really great that I want to say, the last thing that I want to say about this is, well, first of all, you can put your notes in here. And these notes, you can, this is like writing, you see that it's all nice, and you can bold it, you can paragraph it, like this is rich text, right? So that's really great. You can copy and paste, from articles and things like that. You can also, so that is that. And you can also tag things. It brings in all the tags that are associated with the document already. Sometimes you want to clean it up. For me, you know what? I don't have the time to clean all that stuff up, so I just kind of ignore it. But if you're a tagger, if that's going to make sense for you, clean up those tags and tag everything. When I was in grad school, there was one of my folders that I tagged with read and unread because I needed to read through 40 or 50 different articles and do this annotated bibliography that was ungodly large. So, so I had that tag, and I could search by that tag. Everything is searchable in here, and that is the power of Zotero. Everything is searchable, including PDFs that have been that have been scanned. Yeah.
The question regarding, can you show us just how to using Zotero, how to get from Google Scholar? Because I know if you click on Citation, it shows you the links for each application that use that page. For Zotero, there's no option.
Yep. So let's look at Google Scholar. The question was, so we're going to go to Google Scholar. Oh, here we go. Mindfulness and classroom management. Okay, so Google Scholar, it acts the same way as one of our databases. So if you look up in that right-hand corner, it says, which one do you want? So that's see, this is why I love Zotero so much. It's like one click and you get everything on that page if you want to. And that is that's my big, if I had one recommendation, it's this is a way for you to get everything. And you know what? I'm going to just grab all of this stuff. Okay, don't go overboard, but still, you know, like this looks like it might have something to do with my interests in a year. Grab it, put it in your own tool manager, and go. You already have it. So, all right. So there it is, along with the PDF from ResearchGate. So this is really fantastic. So that's, I mean, I think the big thing, I don't want to go too over time here, and I want to make sure that if the icon at the top doesn't show up, export it, and you're looking for the save to EndNote is also an appropriate way to get it to Zotero. They hardly ever say save to Zotero. For some reason, databases don't like it. So, and Refworks, it's not the same. So you may have to just use the export kind of thing. So what I would say is there is a rich support community for Zotero. So if you go to zotero.org, they have hundreds of pages of support. They have multiple videos, so watch the videos, read the support documents if you ever need to know what to do. So we're going to close it there. What else? I think that, trying to figure out what else we should say. Yeah, if you need any more help, feel free to email us, or we're going to be here, so if you have specific questions, just definitely ask them. We want to make sure that you are successful with this process, and it's a really, really great idea to just start it now before you get into some of these really, really huge projects. So we're going to stop recording now. Heidi, do you have anything to add? Okay, we're going to stop recording now, and then we'll just take individual questions after this.